City Live, a historic night across America, and once again, Florida took center stage.
Oh, yeah, everybody was blaming Florida for their anxiety, and Florida kept us on pins and needles, didn't it?
It was a long night. I had to go sleep in the other room. It was too much action.
Too much action, and then there's some video right now of President-elect Donald Trump.
Yep. I think everybody by now knows how things turned out. And whether you're happy or sad or just bleary-eyed like everybody else, there are other portions of this election worth noting. For example, Marco Rubio continues on, and former Sheriff John Rutherford gets sworn into office.
Yeah. Now, so last night, did you guys watch everything? What did you guys do?
I watched most of it. Most of our, I was into our little text situation with our group, so it was a long night. And then I was listening to the missus have her little debates, but yeah, it was like the NFL for...
It was. You know, there's a lot of drama, and we'll be checking in again with news for Jack's headquarters in about 30 seconds. But I stayed up until about 10:30, 10:45, and that's when Florida was still kind of hanging. It didn't turn either way, Democrat or Republican, for the presidential race. And then I went to sleep, and then my 1-year-old woke me up around 2 in the morning, but it was the prime time. So right when I woke up.
While I'm up, I may as well see who the president
turned it on,
is.
and I was like, oh, wow.
Did he wake you up? He's like, Dad, you need to tune in.
I think so. He's like, yeah. So right now, let's go over to Bruce, one of the hardest working men at our station. Did you go home last night, Bruce, or have you just been there nonstop?
Well, I got a little break. I didn't go home, but I did get a chance to go, grab about a 45-minute nap in between election coverage in the morning show. And I'm actually monitoring right now. Hillary Clinton is expected to give her concession speech in a matter of minutes, and I'm looking at the big monitor wall where people were just up there preparing the stage. So if I abruptly break away from our little conversation here because I see her out of the corner of my eye, you know that's why. I guess you're wondering my take on the elections, huh?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I've got to tell you, early in the evening, the political analysts with whom I was working, Rick Mullaney from the Jacksonville University Public Policy Institute and Jerry Holland, the former supervisor of elections, were all pretty much on the same page. If you looked at the sheer numbers, it appeared that Hillary Clinton was going to take advantage of that blue wall that was going to be built and ride to the White House. It appeared that she had the electoral votes. Of course, we now know that the evening unfolded in a much different way. You're looking at the national numbers right now. There are still some precincts that have not reported nationally, but 100% here in Florida. And you can see that the popular vote was very close, with Donald Trump getting 49%, Hillary Clinton 48%. And you know, guys, there's a misnomer here in this country that the Constitution gives us the right to elect the president through the popular vote. But basically it doesn't. What that popular vote does, it gives us the right to appoint electors who are part of the Electoral College.
Right, and in the Constitution, they do not necessarily have to abide by their district to vote. So it is the Electoral College that actually puts people into place. But it is interesting to see the numbers of the popular vote across the nation. Bruce, I have a question for you. When you look at the swing states, any surprises of the ones that Trump won?
Oh, there's some big surprises here because I'm looking over at the big map right now. He wasn't expected to win Pennsylvania. Philadelphia alone is very Democratic. Now, there's a little different dynamic when you move out to the Pittsburgh area. There is some red over there. But for the most part, southeastern Pennsylvania votes Democratic. It did not. And then, how can we ignore what happened here in Florida? I mean, Duval County went for Donald Trump. And then late in the evening, we're watching the numbers. We're looking to see what's going on down in Broward and Palm Beach counties, traditional Democratic strongholds. And it looked like Hillary Clinton was going to have the votes down there that could put her back on track to get the electoral votes she needs to go to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Well, it didn't pan out that way. So Florida was a big surprise. Some other big surprises included Ohio and Wisconsin. And I think when you analyze the results, there are two things that come to mind. Number one, the pollsters got it all wrong, which makes you wonder who they were talking to and whether or not the people they did talk to were honest with who they were supporting. And number two, I think that there's a clear message here from white middle-class America to the Democrats. And basically they said, look, you need to listen to us. This is what we need right now. And that message, they don't believe resonated with the Democrats, so they turned out in droves for Donald Trump. And another factor here is that the Democrats needed the African-American vote to turn out. It did not.
Well,
so just really quick, Bruce, let's bring it back home a little bit, a little local. The best bet, it passed.
the slot machines.
Yeah, they did. It won by 54% to 46% margin. And I've got to tell you, I'm a little surprised that nobody has raised this question yet. There is no doubt that this particular amendment benefits one business here in Jacksonville. That's the Best Bet in Regency. There can't be any other slot machines within, I think it's like a 50-mile radius. So the question becomes, number one, how did it get on the ballot? Number two, there is a court battle going on right now. Don't expect to see those slot machines inside Best Bet tomorrow. We've got to see what the courts say and how they weigh in on this matter before all is said and done on referendum 1.
Yeah, sure. That makes a lot of sense. Now, what about medical marijuana? So that was passed here. Were you surprised about that?
No, not at all. I think it was a fait accompli. And I think the fact that it won with 71% of support should come as no surprise to anybody. Florida is just following suit with other states right now, Colorado, California among them. And there's an interesting dichotomy here. You know, while it's okay to go ahead and dispense medical marijuana, it is against the law in the nation. The national laws prohibit distribution of marijuana. So these medical marijuana companies can't take the profits and the proceeds that they get and take them to the bank legally. Now, Colorado's made some provisions. Whether or not other states that now have these medical marijuana laws on the books follow suit remains to be seen.
All right, Bruce. Bruce,
Thanks.
so you're going to kind of cover everything again at 12 o'clock, correct? So you're not going to get that much of a break?
I'm not going to get that much of a break, but the gang's going to be here
This
at 12.
was his break.
And
We took it.
I'm still waiting for Hillary Clinton. You know, I'm curious to see what tone she takes. Last night we heard from, if we've got a second here, we heard from Donald Trump, and people were watching and waiting to see whether it would be with the same ferocity that he had on the campaign trail, with the same amount of anger and vitriol, but he was very conciliatory. And if you listen to what he had to say, he basically extended a hand to those who weren't his supporters, said, I want your guidance, I want to bring you into the fold, I want you to become part of this and this movement to go ahead and make America great again. Now, there's going to be a 100-day honeymoon for Donald Trump and Congress when he takes office and takes the oath of office on January 20th. But what happens after that remains to be seen, because he can't overturn Obamacare by himself. He can't increase defense spending by himself. He needs whoever's sitting in Congress to help him make those things happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens and how it all unfolds. And then when Hillary Clinton comes on, we'll send it back to you, Bruce, okay?
Yeah, that sounds good. This is going to be the speech of a lifetime for her. I'm really curious to hear what she has to say. And it's very curious that she didn't give that concession speech last night.
Yeah, she definitely had time to work on it and to see what he had to say as well. So, Bruce, again, we'll send it right back to you when Mrs. Clinton takes that stage, okay?
Thank you, Eden. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Bruce. All right. I think when she comes on, it's going to be about unifying. At least I hope it is, because that was the tone that Donald Trump had. All right. So a lot of people, they're not necessarily happy about the turnout of the election. Obviously, you're on one side or the other.
Right.
So a lot of people are talking about moving to Canada. So much so that the citizenship, when you're researching it, it crashed on the Canadian website. But here's the thing. It's not actually that great of a move to go to Canada, and we have 5 reasons why. All right, so number 1, immigration could be difficult. It costs a little bit of money, so that's one part of it. And the other part too, you can't just marry somebody and become a Canadian citizen. So you could
kind of
cross
have
that.
to know someone.
Yeah. You gotta have a better in than that, I guess, right? So you could cross that off the list. Number 2, you may still have to pay taxes in the United States. So you're not necessarily getting a tax break if you move to Canada.
You have to pay Canadian taxes, which are a lot, and American taxes, which, forget it.
Right, yeah. All right, so there's more. All right, number 3, you'll have to say goodbye to some of your favorite either food chains or grocery stores, like Target. So Target's up north.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a big no-no for me.
Yep, that is absolutely the case.
There's a Walmart.
And what about
I don't even know. Is there a Walmart?
Oh, Walmart's everywhere.
I guess you could order online. So maybe that's what you have to do. You could
and
order
what about,
online.
like, the cost of living?
Yeah, the cost of living. So houses are higher. Unemployment rate is actually higher there than it is here. So again,
So
paying
line
more.
something up before you go.
Yeah, so that's a big part of it.
Okay.
And you might need to learn some more words. Up in Canada, they say things a little bit different. They use a lot.
I had a roommate from Toronto in college, and I picked up a few things from her. For example, we weren't in college, we were at university.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And
A boot.
Yeah.
Boots and her mom instead of her mom.
Yeah.
And bum instead of butt. I mean, there were all kinds of little things, so yeah.
And 30% of Canadians, they speak French. So wee.
But see, you go to Toronto, you don't have to really worry about that. That's more like Montreal and some of those little areas. But, you know, I mean, if you really are feeling that passionate about it, the option is open. Going to be a tough option, but the option is open.
Or you could stick around and try to make the change that you hope to one day see.
Oh, yeah.
Just a thought.
Just a thought. Speaking
right.
of sticking around, what about husbands when they go shopping with their wives? Mark, do you have an issue with that when you go shopping with your wife?
I do. I'm not a fan. I try to be there for support, but I'm always the guy like sitting down on one of those couches in the middle of the hall or something like that. You know?
The Vanke Mall, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in Shanghai, China, they have a male shopping nursery. It's a husband nursery. So, you know, there's something on Instagram where it shows men shopping with their wives. It's pretty funny. But this actually gives husbands a place to go hang out while their wives are doing their thing, spending a lot of everybody's hard-earned money. I'm not saying it's just ours. But in the article, it says, don't you hate it when your husband follows you around stores saying you don't need that over and over again? I don't ever do that. That's not even worth the argument or the slap that I'm going to get. No.
I love how it's called a nursery, but in a way we are like kids. Our wives drop us off like, I'll be back in an hour. Here's a snack. Watch TV.
Oh, that would be
good.
Awesome.
That's why it's so great that there's a good sports bar right by the town center. That's the nursery in my family.
Yeah,
That's
things
it.
you learn.
Yes, exactly. All right, so getting back to looking for work, like if you moved to Canada or anywhere, you need to find some employment. We've already established that. Well, we're just getting used to Facebook Marketplace. Well, now they've added or plan to add another aspect to it, and that's job candidates posting that they're looking for work, people who have work for you, kind of like a LinkedIn kind of scenario, but it's like Swip Swap for employment.
Okay.
Interesting.
So if you're looking, you can put it up there. It makes it a lot easier. And you know what I like about this? So often somebody will say to me, hey, keep your ear out, I'm looking. And then I will hear about something, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who just told me the other day that they were looking for work. So this way you kind of can just share it, and then everybody sees it.
I mean, it works because, again, all of our information's up there, and we all are connected somehow. Yeah. So it's amazing. Every week, I feel like we're talking about some type of upgrade with Facebook and the connectivity of what it's doing and rolling out just different things.
I'm dating myself, and probably you guys, but do you remember when you actually had to look through a newspaper?
I do remember that, and circle things.
Oh, yeah, and make the phone call.
I've seen it on movies.
No.
Or send things in the actual mail. All right.
Mail.
More to come. Don't go anywhere. More to come on River City Live. We'll be back.